Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Alright guys, how you guys all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993. This is my live review of this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, the August 18th, 2025 edition. It took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Main evented by an Extreme Rules match between Jey Uso and Bron Breakker. The return of the Tribal Chief, who called out the Tribal Thief wearing the Shulafala. We got Baby Uso on our way as Naomi announced her pregnancy on the show, and she relinquished the Women's World Championship. And other than that, not much else, if I'm being real. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I wanted to do this last night, but then I got distracted. I'm struggling right now to get a game I downloaded off of Steam to try to work, and it's not. So I spent most of my time last night trying to get that fixed. And I promised myself I would do this review before I tried to fix it still, and I didn't quite live up to that rule because I just tried to do it again before I did the stream. But I'm going to stop, take a deep breath, do this, and then go back to it. Just don't stay up till 1:30 in the morning again on a work night doing that, because that was not responsible of me for sure. I don't know if he's watching or if he does. I also want to give a late happy birthday shout out to my good friend Robbie Kenobi, whose birthday was this past Tuesday, August 19th. Robbie, happy birthday, my good friend, and always thank you for your support and whatnot. I'll make sure to try to reach out to you if I don't see you in this stream to make sure I give you that birthday wish for sure. So yeah, shout out to him for happy birthday. And we're going to talk about Raw. I guess first though, because I was going to save this for my SmackDown review, but I don't plan on doing that one live. I plan on recording the SmackDown review. So because of that, I'm just going to talk about it right now quickly. So earlier this week, WWE announced, because there have been rumors for a while that they were going to be doing a pay-per-view on September 20th to compete with AEW All Out. And there was rumors that it was going to be Bad Blood. Now, we are getting a pay-per-view on the 20th of September, but it's not going to be Bad Blood. It's going to be called WWE Wrestlepalooza. It's going to be taking place in Indianapolis. I wonder if it's going to be at Lucas Oil Stadium, because they did strike that deal where it's going to be a couple of big events over the next few years that's going to be at Lucas Oil Stadium. We did have Royal Rumble this past year that I thought was a good success for sure. And also the rumors are that John Cena is going to be wrestling an opponent he hasn't wrestled in over a decade, which that'll probably be where he wrestles Brock. Fine by me. The only thing is, though, is that one will be streaming on ESPN. So I'm confused in report as if they're going to push up the start of when the ESPN app for the pay-per-views goes into effect to next month, or if this is just like kind of like a test thing and then they're going to finish up the rest of the year. Because I thought originally the ESPN deal didn't start until WrestleMania 42. So that I'm not sure of. So my quick thoughts on this is I want to get my thoughts out there. Again, I know I said my thoughts on the stuff with ESPN. Again, I don't like that it feels like that we're we're paying for we're paying more for less. It feels like, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch every single pay-per-view if it's goes to ESPN and I have to pay $30 a month to watch a pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really, can't really fit much in my budget right now, so I don't know if that's really gonna be the case for me, or if I share an account with some friends. So that's a concerning part. I'm not going to lie also and say the whole thing with trying to go head-to-head with AEW pay-per-views was kind of annoying me a little bit. But I think it's more so because of the fact that it just feels like TKO is getting just a little bit greedy with their money and such. But there is a positive I do want to mention about this, and why I do kind of like that they're doing this. Remember when AEW first came around, and the show that they were trying to have them to outdo them was NXT? Yeah, Vince McMahon was too afraid to go up against AEW with his main roster show. But NXT, when it was Triple H's show, he threw them to be the ones to take out AEW, which unfortunately did not happen. Now, you're going for it all by throwing your main roster talent at them. And in my opinion, that could, if they do like have these occasional, like, we're going to throw these pay-per-views on the same nights and whatnot, not every single one, but like some of them, that in my honest opinion, if that can push both shows to get their act together, AEW's inconsistencies, WWE's, okay, but storytelling, again, we've mentioned, hasn't quite been the same lately with WWE. But if this is going to push them to do better with their shows, then I'm not going to complain anymore about this. If they really want to step up, heck, if they pull off what they did with Evolution this year, because I'm still going to say this, I still view Evolution as the best show of the year, I'm not going to complain about this again. Again, besides the greediness, I do like that they're trying to throw their best talent at AEW to compete with them, and not just the developmental talent that Vince McMahon had no balls for the people he wanted to succeed on his show. He didn't have the balls to throw them at AEW. So that is a positive. But again, I just don't want them to go like too far with this, if I'm being honest. So we'll see what happens with Wrestlepalooza. Again, I don't know if I'll be able to watch it or not, so we'll see what happens with that. And then the live chat, then I'm going to quickly talk about Raw, because I don't have too much to say, to be honest. Like I said, I'm very distracted and really want to get back to trying to get this game fixed. But anyways, Tyler said Ron was gone for 2 weeks. So much for writing him off TV. Yeah, that was a little bit weird, how they keep like writing him off, but he was back kind of fast. And he's having the match at Clash in Paris with Bronson Reed. Okay. Why is Rhea fighting the Judgment Day again? It's getting overkill right now. Yeah, I don't know what was that was about, but I do find it interesting that they at least like threw that in there. And the question of the Kabuki Warriors is like, well, you didn't want us to help you, but you were okay with Rhea, who is obviously a bigger rival with, the Kabuki Warriors. So that's gotta be interesting for sure. And Tyler doesn't really like the ESPN deal at all. Again, I can understand why for sure. So, we'll see what happens with this. I do still kind of hope they at least let us finish off the rest of this year with the Peacock deal for pay-per-views. Because it's too immediate to just jump to ESPN right now and make us pay $30. So, we'll see what happens with that. But let's talk about Raw real quick, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So Raw again took place in Philadelphia. We started off the show with The Vision, with Paul Heyman coming out. Paul Heyman doing his usual introduction, and of course he acknowledges, what he's done in the city, because obviously emphasizing about AEW's home city being Philadelphia. But he also talks about how, Braun Breaker is the future for WrestleMania. Bronson Reed's the owner of the Shula Afala, and he is the tribal thief. And then He also called out the crowd for chanting OTC and said you should actually be chanting Paul E. Before Seth Rollins does his usual intro, and who deserves more credit than Paul Heyman does is the man who pinned Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania not once but twice. And then Jey Uso came through the crowd, yeeting, and he let some kids say yeet on a microphone, and he said he's tired of hearing Seth talk and of them trying to threaten his family. So, reminder, he tapped out Gunther at WrestleMania. And so if he can do that to him, it's going to get worse to Rollins when we get the Clash in Paris. And look at puppy dog Bron Breakker looking at him. He's about to stay on the porch tonight because he's looking at a real one. Seth gets on Bronson telling him Jay thinks his family's better than his. And they just talk some trash to each other. And then Paul Heyman then announces that the main event match of Jey Uso and Bron Breakker as advertised is going to be an Extreme Rules match because we're in Philadelphia, which of course Jey accepts. Set that up for later on in the night. We'll get to that in a moment. We got a recap of what happened with Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors. Io's getting ready for a match with Raquel. Asuka and Kairi walk over and they say, hey, I'm sorry, whatnot, it's all good. And then Asuka says, we'll have your back tonight if you need us. And Io says, I appreciate that, but I need to do this by myself, just like Asuka did before. And they're like, okay, all good. So Io and Raquel had a match, which was pretty good. Continuing to acknowledge that Raquel Rodriguez is improving. She's put on, this summer, she has really stepped it up ever since I think it was Kevin Nash who made some remarks about her on social media. And she's really stepped it up since. Like I said, I would put her up there as one of the top 5 for most improved of this year for sure. She's had some pretty good matches. Io, though, was eventually able to get the victory. And afterwards, Roxanne Perez attacked her, which led to a 2-on-1 beatdown. But the Kabuki Warriors didn't come out like the same because Io told them to stay back. But Rhea Ripley came out, and she made the save. And later on, the Kabuki Warriors are like, so Rhea's allowed to save you, but we're not? We'll see, of course, where that goes. Interesting stuff for sure, definitely. LA Knight's backstage being interviewed when CM Punk interrupted him. And Punk is trying to tell him that him, Knight, and Jay need to be on the same page because if not, then they're all going to get taken out by division. But LA Knight says he doesn't care, and when he gets to Paris, he's going to be the one holding the title, and that's that. And of course, later in the show, Punk's trying to talk about the same thing, and he goes, I appreciate it, but I need to do this myself, especially for this main event match tonight. It was a little more, getting along. Not as like CM Punk and LA Knight who has some tease tension between each other. Just throwing it all in there. We had a random match with Penta and Xavier Woods, and I really didn't care because, again, New Day's just been booked like crap for a while now. And, again, Grayson Waller being randomly paired with them just makes no sense. Which, by the way, also, apparently Grayson Waller doesn't have a green card. So I wonder if that's why they're resistant to push him because of his situation. But Penta beat Xavier Woods, and again, I really did not care. We get a promo from Dominic Mysterio about how AJ Styles robbed him at Triple Mania for the AAA World Title, and he's going to face El Hijo del Vikingo at Worlds Collide in September 1-on-1, and he will win the AAA title there, as he's predicting. Let me see here. What else we got there? Then we had a little fun appearance. Dragon Lee and AAA's Mr. Iguana, who's getting a lot of attention, they teamed up to take on the tag champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Match was fun. It was more so there just to showcase Mr. Iguana. There for the crowd doesn't really know him. But Judgment Day do win with a coup de grace from Finn Balor on Dragon Lee. Afterwards, though, Dominic does get involved in a beatdown, but El Hijo del Vikingo comes in and makes a save. Just get him on TV. That's just some little future tease for their match at AAA. Alright, so then we have probably my least favorite part of the show. So Becky Lynch is going to defend the Women's Intercontinental title against Natalya. First, she's being interviewed backstage, and she claims that she didn't attack Natalya, Natty attacked her. Kind of the same thing as when Drew talked about his thing with Cody, but whatever, this and that. Basically just talks some trash on Natalya. They had a match for the women's IC title. My question is, why is we into standard Natalya? Now, I haven't watched Natalya's blood sport matches. She's doing it on the indies right now. Apparently, she's really killing it. And supporting some type of like an MMA gimmick. Why is she still standard Natalya here if she's doing that on the indies? I didn't like that. Also, other question too, didn't Otis return to Triple Mania this past weekend? If so, why wasn't he coming out with Alpha Academy? He's still with them, right? Heck, I'll be honest too, if they want to bring Natty's Bloodsport gimmick into WWE, that could be kind of fitting for Alpha Academy and their theme of like, getting trained to be fit and whatnot. That could work pretty good for all of them, but I don't know. I don't know why they still did the tone down Natalya. Nikki Bella made the save, so they're still probably doing Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella for the women's IC title. I don't care. Also, real quick and this is no jab at Becky Lynch, is it still bothering anybody that they continuously still seem to have the women's IC title booked more than the world titles for the women? Does that bother you a little bit? Kind of does me a little bit too. It also makes me wonder why we have these other titles if, most of them aren't going to be, used efficiently. But what do I know? What I did like, though, is we had another segment with Bayley struggling, but tossing back and forth, basically kind of showing a split personality. Still hearing, like, her, heel gimmick. But then it ended hearing Bayley saying, "How about a hug?" So it's like she's really hitting rock bottom and trying to find herself. So that stuff's interesting to me. So I'm interested to see where all that goes. Anyways, Sheamus and Rusev brawl backstage. It led to Adam Pearce announcing a Donnybrook match between them at Clash of Paris. Cool with me. Definitely needed a stipulation for sure. And of course, Pierce was flipping out most of the night, this and that. That's when, of course, we had Naomi come out to get in the ring, and before she said anything, she then showed the clip from Stephanie McMahon's podcast where Jimmy Uso announced they're expecting a baby. Apparently, she's 7 weeks pregnant, and they found out last Sunday. So her baby was in her belly during that women's triple threat women's match at SummerSlam. Yikes, that's a little scary to think about, but it was early on in the pregnancy, so she should be okay. The baby should be okay. But anyways, they announced that when Pierce went to congratulate Naomi, but Naomi stayed in character basically and told him to get out of the ring, and she made her little spew, thing, and she basically said whoever holds this title better proceed with caution because I'll be taking it when I come back. So that's official there. Naomi is taking time off as she is going to be becoming a mother. Good for them for sure, especially if the rumors are that they had some fertility issues. I'm glad to see, of course, it worked out for them for sure. And I think both her and Jimmy are both going to be great parents. Of course, she also mentioned stuff like, thank Big Jim because they like to do a lot of Netflix and chill and some other jabs they're just obviously making, some more adult humor jokes. But it was kind of funny, but obviously as well too, just some humor that really is meant for adults, but whatever. But congratulations to Naomi and Naomi and Jimmy for sure for the pregnancy. There's also another segment with Dominic chilling with El Grande Americano, and when Finn's not quite buying the idea that him and Dom were on the same page anymore. And the main event was Jey Uso and Braun Breaker in the Extreme Rules match. The match was fine. It's just that with it being on Raw, of course, it was toned down, like not pay-per-view worthy, but it's like you wish they could have done a little bit more, especially with it being kind of like a hardcore match and whatnot. But, whatever. Roman Reigns, though, did return to take out the Vision, and he helped Jay win the match as Jay won after doing a Uso splash through a table and pinning Braun. And then afterwards, Roman Reigns calls out Bronson Reed for a match at Clash in Paris. So I'm guessing Roman's going to win that one. But I'm sure at some point when they do Roman and Braun, Braun's going to beat Roman. But yeah, so that's kind of a random match. Carver Clash seems some stuff I'm interested in, some stuff I'm not. I also am surprised also they did announce what they're going to do about the women's world title on this show. You would have thought they would have had a little bit of a plan. Again, the reason why it's bothering me that they're giving the women's IC title a lot more screen time than the women's world title is again because I feel like they don't value who's ever holding that title as much. But yeah, you would have thought they would have announced something this show had something in mind because Stephanie Vaquer still earned that title match at Evolution. She won the Battle Royal and won the opportunity to fight for the women's world title at Clash in Paris. So we'll see where they go with it because it's interesting because again you could just do Stephanie and Rhea or Stephanie and Io. Honestly, Stephanie and Io sounds exciting to me right now because the two matches they've had that have inconclusive finishes on them. But also think about it too. Roxanne Perez did beat Io recently, and Rhea's probably going to get involved in there too. So we'll see where that goes as well. But yeah, overall, I gave the show a B-. Again, the Naomi's announcement, and again, I'm still right behind the Bayley stuff. But other than everything else, was fine. Just was what it was, nothing special. But yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. In the live chat, Tyler said the whole Bayley hear voices in her head. It reminded him of Kane in 2006. Oh, with May 19th. And Jay looks like New Jack in the match. Nice. But yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Again, I'm sorry I didn't have much to say about this episode of Raw. And again, I'm just distracted and want to get back to trying to fix the game. So I'm going to go do that now. And again, hopefully to pump out some more content as I've done pretty good with content recently. So hoping to continue that. So guys, Raw got a B- this week. What are your guys' thoughts on Raw, Wrestlepalooza, Naomi getting pregnant, everything we talked about? Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below and slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, The Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram, The Club of the Man 1993. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And once again, we'll end this on this note instead. Congratulations again to Jimmy Uso and Naomi, or Jonathan Fatu and Trinity Fatu, on the birth of their upcoming first child, for sure. Definitely enjoy it. Again, as a father myself, it's been a blessing. I hope it is a blessing to both of you as well. Good night, everybody. I'll see you all later.